Bro, when are you going to realize that your life is literally in your own hands? You can create the life that you say you want for yourself, and you can design it and shape it the way you want. So many people here on YouTube, they just watch videos about things, but they don't actually take the information from the video and apply it into their life. And I used to be one of those people. I used to just watch YouTube videos thinking I was being successful, thinking I was actually doing the things I said I wanted. And then one day I realized that I need to be taking more action. And I also realized that the people that I was watching in the YouTube videos were actually achieving their goals in real life, in real time. And it wasn't this made up story, it wasn't this fictional character that was talking about things that he aspired to do. It was like somebody genuinely talking about what they do in their own life. And I started to realize that like the conviction of the people I was watching on YouTube, the tonality in their voice and the way they talked about the things that they were doing wasn't all staged. And all of the hundreds of videos weren't staged. And I used to think about it from that lens for a while in the past, where like this is all made up, this isn't really true. And then I started to realize, bro, like people are actually living their ideal life and they're achieving the things they say they want for themselves. And their actions, their thoughts, and their intentions are all congruent. And I realized I had this wake up call, like I could be doing the exact same thing. And then, bro, I started actually living the life that I said I wanted for myself. I always told myself that, when I finally get to this position in my life, then I'm going to start working on the things. And I realized every time I would do that, it was an excuse. I was putting it off, externalizing it, for the future. And with enough time, with enough frustration, I realized that the more I put them off, the more it was going to fade and fade and fade. And eventually my life was going to be over with and I wasn't going to have the things that I claimed I wanted. So what did I do? I started to make different actions. I left my regular job to go chase my passions of fitness. And I worked as a personal trainer. And then from that point, I chased my dreams of becoming an online fitness coach by leaving that job. And from that position, I was free, bro. Literally, I was an entrepreneur. And that's what I wanted for myself. Freedom to be able to travel, freedom to be able to do the things I said I wanted for myself. And for so long, I didn't actually achieve those things because I was living a life that I wasn't content with. And I would go on YouTube and I would watch videos, probably like the one you're watching right now, where people talk about their own life. And I would think, that must be cool, that must be nice. And then I eventually started to look at it from a way of inspiration. Like I can actually start to mold and create my life the way that that person has and do things the way I want. And I don't have to worry about, spending my time watching somebody else's life unfold. And I can hear about the inspiration and take inspiration from that, but I can actually do it in my own life. And I started to look at these things I was watching as motivation, as fuel. And when I did that, I stopped caring about other people's lives. Like I stopped caring about watching sports games and watching movies and going out with friends and all these things that didn't really bring fulfillment because I truly didn't want to spend my life doing that stuff. Like, not to say I don't once in a while like to enjoy these things. Of course I do, but I started to realize that a lot of people in life, they're living for other people. Now, when I say living for other people, what I mean is I think a lot of times people make decisions based on their circumstances rather than shaping their lifestyle around the way they want to live it. And I found myself in that, position for a long, long time where I wasn't getting really anywhere close to where I actually felt fulfilled. And when I finally made a decision to create the life that I wanted by making different actions, by thinking differently, life started to become more enjoyable. And so, like with my fitness, when I got into the gym, I would always be working out. And friends of mine in the past would like always be doing research, or they would be watching, you know, TV or like sports games about like, athletics or sports, which is cool. But I always wanted to be the person that was actually living rather than just watching from the sidelines. And that's just me. Maybe not all of you guys resonate with that. Um, but at that point, everything in my life opened up because I realized that, I could live the life that way I wanted. And life became enjoyable when I started to do the things I wanted to do and stop doing the things I didn't care about. And for the longest time, I used to force myself to do things that the society and the norm would do because I thought it was the right thing. You know, I used to, like, of course, interests change, but I used to like force myself to like do things just to fit in with the everyday people until I realized that like I'm not really like a lot of the people that I grew up with. A lot of the people I grew up with that wanted to go spend their time hanging out on the weekends, relaxing, going to events. Like, not to say I don't have a life, bro, but I wanted to work on becoming the best possible version of myself and actually living the things. Like, for example, going to a sporting game, I would much rather have been an athlete myself than go like watch these guys play every single game. I would much rather learn about how a business works and actually start building one than, just like watch other people's lives unfold, right? And so like as I start to really tap into that and understand that we all have the ability to shape our own, I started to just notice how my life shifted. The people I started to hang out with were, more mature in the sense that they didn't really do fun things. And I thought it was weird at first. And I realized that what brought them fulfillment, what they were doing that was fun to them, was education, knowledge, skills, you know, creating the life that they wanted for themselves. And I remember, a couple summers ago, being at this, lake house with some high net worth entrepreneurs. And basically, I remember sitting there. We had dinner. After dinner, we just kind of sat, on the porch and smoked a couple cigars. You know what I'm saying? Um, just kind of vibed out. And I remember we're having a good time, and we just sat on the porch for like 3 hours, and we just talked. And like what we talked about was all education, politics, business. And it felt so weird because in the past, the friends I used to hang out with would always be talking about other people, plans, right? Rather than education. And so it felt weird, to say the least. It felt weird to finally be in a room of people where their main intention was expansion and growing. And after that event, I remember that same night, I went out with a couple buddies for drinks. It was like friends I hadn't seen in a while. And I remember going out with them and just feeling like so much different. I felt like I had nothing in common with these people. And I felt like I didn't even want to be there. And that's when I realized that I was still trying to fit myself into societal's box of what they say you should do rather than living the life that I actually wanted, right? And from that point, I started making different decisions. I stopped going out on the weekends. I rarely drank alcohol or socialized in that light. It was more so a matter of connecting with other people. I started reading books and I started realizing that every week, Friday night, Saturday night, and on the weekends on Sunday, my fun time was me at the gym working out, or me working on the apps that I use for my business, right? Or me working on my coaching programs, or me reading books, or just like certain things that in the past I would have, never thought I would have been doing. And I think that as I started to distance myself from people, which I didn't do intentionally, it just naturally happened as a byproduct of me not wanting to partake in the activities that they were doing. I noticed that like this whole time I had been hanging out with people, doing things, and living a lifestyle that wasn't suiting my long-term growth and the actual goals I had for myself. I had these goals of having a nice physique, being in phenomenal shape, which didn't align with going out and drinking alcohol all the time, or eating junk food, or like not eating consistently quality foods, right? So like, of course, if I want and I desire to have this ideal physique of mine, I'm not going to be hanging out with people that are doing the complete opposite of what I'm doing. They're not meal prepping. They're not keeping track of what's going in their body. They're not even putting, boundaries up around their lifestyle. Of course, it's going to be difficult to achieve my goals around these people, right? And so I just started to distance myself. Like my friends that would go to the bars, they would go out and make plans, be in the group chats, texting. Like, bro, I started to just stop doing those things. And I realized that, like, as I stopped doing those things, I was actually interested more in spending my free time working on becoming my best version, right? And so when I stopped doing those things, and when I started leaning more into the things that I wanted to actually do with my life, life became so much more fulfilling. And I started to wake up every day and enjoy the process and the journey. Also, if I'm not making complete eye contact, the lamp I have, it doesn't have an umbrella. I don't know if that's the right term. It doesn't have something over the light bulb to guide it, so it's a little bit blinding. So that's why I'm kind of looking elsewhere. um, but yeah, so I just started to kind of make different decisions, hang out with different people, spend more time by myself, started to educate myself more, and realized that this whole time I had been doing things, hanging out with people, living a lifestyle that I wasn't super content with. Yet my goals, my visions were completely different from the actions I was taking. And so when I started to do that, life became more enjoyable. And it felt like this journey, right, where I wake up every day and I would build, I would work on getting one step closer. So check this thing off the box. What's next on the agenda of the long-term vision? Whereas I think a lot of people, especially nowadays, they live for the weekend. They live for their paycheck. They live for their vacation, for the cruise, for the next football game, like yada yada yada. And I always noticed that like I started living for every day, and that's when life became so enjoyable. When I started to wake up and realize that I'm so blessed to be here, to be able to cultivate and create the life I want. So for those of you guys watching out there, I want you to understand that each and every single time that you make a decision that is not aligned with your true authentic self, and you're making an action that's not congruent with where you want to go, then you're ultimately wasting your life and stepping further and further away from the person that you say that you want to be. And when you start to shift in the opposite direction and do the things that align with the person that would, have the results you say you want, you start to do those sorts of actions, you're going to notice that it's really not that difficult to achieve your goals in life. Right? Because like when you stop caring about the other things and you start to actually prioritize, and not just prioritize but find enjoyment and fulfillment in the actions, the goals you set up for yourself, it becomes easy to win. It becomes easy to succeed. Right? Like when you're sabotaging your life by barely putting any time towards your goals, it's of course going to feel miserable. That's how I felt at one point because I wasn't doing enough. But when I started to realize that not just was I doing these tasks and taking these actions to become this person just to have the end result, like, but I actually loved the process. I actually loved doing it, like working on the business, aside from the end results, aside from the benefits, the upsides, the profits. I actually loved doing the work. Just like with the gym, aside from looking good, feeling good, having energy, having muscle mass, I literally loved being in a gym working out. So like when you find fulfillment in the process and fulfillment in the journey, like I've talked on in several of my other videos, that's when life becomes enjoyable because you're waking up, living for the present moment and living for the process rather than focusing on the end destination. And especially when your end destination is aligned with the actions you're taking, as opposed to completely unaligned, that's when life starts to get great. So I hope you guys found some value from this video. And I just want you to know that the person that you want to become needs to fall in love with the journey, fall in love with the process, if you want those things you say you want. If you don't want them, then it's okay. Keep doing whatever you want to do, but I don't think you'd be watching this video if you wanted more for yourself. And so when you find fulfillment and you actually enjoy doing the things that take you to the next position in your life, then and only then will every day feel like you don't want it to end. Like, I can't even explain it. It probably sounds corny, but I literally get annoyed when I don't have enough time in the day because I want to do all these things. I want to read books. I want to work on the business. I want to work on my physique. I want to do my meal prep. Like, I want to do all the things that I've set up for myself. And I feel like I never have enough time to do everything. And in the past, I remember the people I would surround myself with, the actions I would take were like, oh, I can't wait for time to pass so that I can have this thing. Where now it's the complete opposite. It's like, I don't have enough time in my day. So, like, I need to make the most of it. And also, because I don't have enough time in my day, it creates this urgency where it's like everything is so much more enjoyable because I'm filling my day with things that I actually like to do. So I hope that resonates with some of you guys out there. Whether you're a business owner, whether you're not a business owner, whether you're trying to just get into shape, whether you're somebody that has big aspirations for himself, just take action, bro. And I'll see you in the next video. Follow me on Instagram at JSROutfit.